Suppose that x is a discrete random variable. What we're going to be interested in first off is what's the distribution for this x random variable. Now, if you remember, a distribution tells you two things. It's going to tell you the possible values for x, and it's going to tell you probabilities. So we're going to write that down. We'll write down our x, the possible values, and our p of x, the probabilities. So for the possible values, we're going to pretend for now that it's x1, x2, down to this x sub n, and the probabilities we'll pretend are p1, p2, all the way down to this p sub n. So everybody comes in a little pair here, the x1 and the p1, the x2 and the p2, and the xn and the pn. Next thing we're going to be interested in is what is the mean, or the expected value, for this random variable x. So how are we going to go about computing this? Well, we're going to compute this mean using the symbol mu, and we're going to say the mean is equal to that x1 value times the p1 value plus the x2 value times the p2 value, and we're going to continue doing that all the way up until we get to the last value. So we'll multiply the xn value times the pn value. So for a real example, we'll have an x, possible values, and a px, probabilities, where the possible values are going to be -1, 0, and 9, and our probabilities will be 0.1, 0.3, and 0.6. So to compute the mean, this mu, what we're going to do is take -1 times 0.1 plus 0 times 0.3 plus 9 times 0.6, and what we will get is a -0.1 plus a 0 plus 5.4, and when we work that out, what we will get is the mean is 5.3. Now there's a lot of work in this, and if the lists are kind of long, that'll take a long time to deal with there. So an easier way to do this is to put the distribution into the calculator. So we'd have two lists of numbers we have to type into it. So the next thing we're going to do is find out how to make a list. So we start making a list by going up to stat, and then there's these edit options right there. We just hit enter on them. And now there's all these lists in here. We're going to go over to the first list, the L1, and we're going to type in our possible values, the x values, in that L1 list there. So this L1, the -1, the 0, and the 9 go into L1, our possible values. Our probabilities are going to go in that L2 list. So we're going to type in the 0.1, the 0.3, and the 0.6 into that L2 list. So after each number, you just hit enter, and it jumps you down the list one. And that's how you can put your probability distribution into the table. Now to actually compute the mean, you're going to go under stat, and then you're going to arrow over to where it says calc, and it's the first option that says 1var stats. Then you're going to type in your possible values. Those were in your list number 1, so you hit on second in L1. Then you do a comma and type in your probabilities, and that's second in L2. And then you hit enter, and it brings up your mean, which is the first thing in the list. It's the x with the line over top, the x bar, which is 5.3. It's the wrong symbol. It's supposed to be mu, but it's what we have. Now for other calculators, we start the same way. We hit on stat and go over to calc and use that 1var stats. But this time where it says list, those are our possible values. So that's going to be second, and the number 1, our list 1. The frequency list, the second thing there, those are our probabilities. So that's second in L2. Then we go down to calc, and we hit enter, and it brings up all the same results. What we're looking for again is the mean, which is a mu symbol, but the calculator uses that x with the line over top, so our mean is 5.3.